Zoom call with my boss, and I was trying to spell Sarah, Sarah's surname is Baczynski, and I didn't want to get it wrong. So I missed it off entirely. I'm such a good friend. I'm a bad person. I'm a bad person. So we're here to talk about energy today. This mic is very scary, I have to say. So the first thing, I'm going to do the first half. Sarah's got the exciting fun bit at the end. I've got a bit of a boring bit at the beginning. I can't talk about energy without talking about the energy market at the moment, because it's in the press all the time, and it's the big white elephant, or the cute white elephant in the room. It's a nightmare. Wholesale prices are going through the roof, and that's trickling down to us normal people right at the bottom. You know that certain energy suppliers are going bankrupt and other people are taking them over. The thing that we want to say, and on the back and with the support of people like Martin Lewis, is there's nothing we can do about what's happening in the market. We need to try and wait it out until we work out, till it all stabilises, and then we can make a decision on what to do. Normally, the things that we normally talk to you about are things like saving money by using less units of energy. And that's what Sarah's going to be talking about. She's going to be giving you hints and tips on how to not use as many units. We usually say we also save money by getting each unit of energy at its lowest price. Now that's a bit of a joke because of what's going on in the market. Prices are ridiculously expensive. So for us, we are saying try not to do any switching, which is not what we normally say. So we've got to wait until the market calms down, and then we can actually start to do comparisons. I know my boss tried to do a comparison for her mum on U-Switch, and she basically said there was nothing there. So we advise you not really to switch until everything's settled. What we are saying is that this Wild West will slow down and will stop. If you've already had your supplier taken over by someone else, then it's basically wait until you get a letter from them. You will never have your gas and electricity cut off, but you will get a letter from your new supplier, and that new supplier will then tell you what your tariff is, what you are going to be paying per unit of electricity and gas. And then when you know that, you can then look around in the future. But as I say, at the moment, we need to work out who's going to be still left after the big fight's gone on. If you are passed on to someone else, or you are mine is Bulb, my energy company, and it looks like it's going to be taken over, but I'm not sure who it's going to be taken over by. What we're saying, no, it isn't. Mine's not being taken over. Mine's fine. You can see the woman who knows everything. Mine's fine. If your energy company might be taken over, the thing that we say to do is check if you're using online services, just make sure you know exactly how much payments you've got going out. Check how much credit you're in, and check if you're in debit, how much debit you're in. Just keep as up to date as you can. If you're using paper billing, then they'll have it on your last bill. Just keep everything ready, because if something happens to your supplier, you've then got the best information you can for when you actually be passed over. So as I said, we were advising not to switch any energy suppliers. Leave it be. Linking in from that, when you're listening to the Yorkshire Water, we actually have each supplier has a priority services register. So E.ON, British Gas, all of them have their own supplier, have their own service. What we're suggesting is that if you believe that you should be on a priority services register because you have a need, you are vulnerable in some way, then you should register with them, because they do the same type of thing that the Yorkshire Water do. That if there's going to be a breakdown in service in your area, they will let you know that there's going to be a breakdown in service. If you need, for example, to have a fridge, they will then make sure that if there's going to be an energy break, that they will get you some electricity, maybe a little generator or some way of keeping any medicines that you need or anything that you need on, you know, keeping you safe in that particular area. If you are actually moved, if your supplier is changed because of these mergers, then you will be we would be hopeful that that element of priority service will shift too. So if you move from E.ON to British Gas, they should pass that over. We would not guarantee that that's going to happen. So what I would say is if you do get moved and you are on the priority services register at the moment, make sure you're still on that register. Because what you don't want to do is, if there is a situation where you need that service and you can't get it because you've been moved over. There's also Northern Power Grid, which I know Sarah's been dishing out some leaflets. That's also a priority services register. So get on as many as you can, because you want someone out there to be doing this right.
Can you say that again, sorry? What's that?
Northern Power Grid. The issue with this is that things do go wrong, just like on the Yorkshire Water, when people just, you know, they don't actually, you're on a list but they don't really do much about it. You do have to make sure that people know. In this booklet, there is a text relay section as well, which is always really useful. I think it's inside this booklet somewhere. I think Sarah pointed it out to me. So there is a text relay version, so you will be, and if English isn't your first language or anything like that, we do have ways of registering inside this leaflet, if anyone's interested. But it is always worth doing that. Now, Yorkshire Water went on and had a lot of schemes. We're talking very generically across all utilities. So there is something called a warm home discount, and I don't know if people are aware of the warm home discount. If you're not, then maybe it's worthwhile thinking about it. The warm home discount is £140 for your electricity, and the larger suppliers have a pot of money that they will take that discount out and they give it to you. It's significant to know it's by supplier, because when that money runs out, there is no more money after that. There is there are two types of eligibility. The first eligibility is that you are on guaranteed pension credit, and you will find out about that because the DWP generally send you a letter to confirm that that's going to happen. There is also a broader group, and that's based on your income. So if you think you may be suitable for it, you then need to apply. Now, what happens when people start being switched from one to the other? That's when it can get a little bit complicated. But you should always, because it's open now, they have money now, it's worth your while thinking, if you haven't done it before, trying to make that application. It's usually quite a short application, but it's usually internet-based. So if you have an issue with that, then let us know and we can try and sort something out for you. Sorry. Ah, right, okay, that's perfect. It is, because I know that someone that we know got it because she was working part-time and she had a little girl under 5, and it literally took 10 minutes. So it's £140, it normally comes off your electricity bill, but if you've got dual fuel with that company, then you can get it off your gas, or you know, if you will apply and try and get it from your gas company. Do you know that, Sarah, if it's going up to 150? No. I haven't seen that going up to 150.
The media a couple of weeks ago.
Does anyone have anything more to say? So do try and get that. Do try and apply for that if you can. There are lots of pockets of funding that you might be able to get help with any debts that you've got. Very similar to what the Yorkshire Water we're talking about, but they are dependent on each individual utility company.
Just looking at the name, warm home discount, that's the title of it.
Yes, warm home discount. So it's £140 off your electricity bill. actually off your electricity, but you can ask it to go off your gas. Is that okay?
I've got a question here. You getting your steps in, Nick?
Sorry, can I just clarify? My husband's a pensioner and he's just had a letter saying he's getting the £200 heating allowance. Is this the same thing?
No.
Oh, right, okay.
No. This scheme comes from the energy supplier. So some smaller energy companies, if there are any left, I'm not quite sure there are any left now, didn't used to be able to give this. It was only the big ones because they had the cash to do it. This is nothing to do with any government thing. This is just to do with from that supplier. So that's why there's a pool of money. So it's always best to get in as quick as you can.
So I could still apply for that because I am the bill payer. My husband's not on the bills in my house, but he does live there.
Just apply.
Okay, thank you.
And it's not a very big, complicated form. The reason it's individual is that if you're applying in the broader group, each individual supplier can have slightly different eligibility. So E.ON's not quite the same as British Gas. If it's to do with pension credit, that's fine. But if it's to do with that, you have to look and just have a poke round and see.
Can I just, for clarity then, just for the notes and for the minutes of the meeting, if you are on a pension, you get £200 from the government and you can also apply for this as well. So
You can.
£340 saving.
You can, but you should automatically get it if you've got pension credit. That's pension credit guarantee. Because that means that you're in receiving a particularly low income. So that's why you've got that extra bit. Is that okay?
Thank you for clarifying.
Yes, and thank you for Sarah for saying the word guarantee.
Actually, could I just ask?
You can. Oh, I don't know why she sat there watching me. She should look at you. Doing a bit of a
Okay, sorry, Susan. Right, pension credit with guarantee. If your husband is on pension credit with guarantee, but you're the bill payer, you don't know, but if he is, then you're not going to automatically get that £140 because his name isn't on the bill. However, if you contact your energy provider and explain that your name is on the bill, but in fact your husband gets pension credit with guarantee, what they'll do is they'll just want some form of evidence. They might actually just ask for his national insurance number. They may actually just say, can you send us the letter that says he's got pension credit with guarantee? As soon as they've got that, you'll just get it automatically, and it will be automatic from that point onwards, because he will be classed as the core group.
But if he hasn't got the guarantee bit, you still may be eligible based in the broader group based on your income. So there's just one continues year after year. But your income can change, so that's why they make you do a sort of annual. Yeah, go look, you become a millionaire overnight, and you can, so that's why they make you do it every year for the one that's not the guaranteed credit, pension credit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's much clearer, thank you.
Is it clearer? You can throw cake at Sarah if it's not.
Yeah, I'll eat it.
I'm scribbling away down here.
So those were just pretty pictures. There's nothing. It was just so that you didn't have to look at us really. Hints and tips. This is where Sarah comes in.
Oh, that's small.
No, it's not. It's just a picture, so you don't have to stare at us. That's all, isn't it?
Thank you. I have actually done some sheets because what I am aware of is I tell people all the time how they could be saving energy around their home, and I can see this glazed look. But actually, now that prices have increased significantly, I think this is going to be more of a factor for everybody to look into. Okay. Just a little bit about the energy price cap. You've probably heard of it and you're thinking, it really doesn't make any sense. So just to let you know that if you are not on a fixed tariff, or you are on a fixed tariff and it's due to come to the end, just let them put you on a variable, a standard variable. That is where the price cap comes in. And what that means is that the energy company cannot charge you more than a certain amount per unit or kilowatt hour, okay? So in this instance, I think in Yorkshire, because also it depends on which part of the country you're in Yorkshire, it's about 4.5 pence for gas. For electricity, it's about 21 pence per unit, okay? That also applies for the daily standing charge, okay? They can't go above a certain amount. If, however, your company tries to get you to go on a fixed tariff, ensure that you look at those prices because they are not affected by the price cap, which means that they could, if they wanted, charge you 30 pence a unit for electricity and 6 pence a unit for gas. They could also charge you something like 50p daily standing charge. Also, what they're doing is they're trying to tie people in for a longer term, 2 to 3 years per fuel. And the exit fee, the cheapest I've seen so far, is £100 per fuel. So, in fact, our boss, she did ask me about her months and price comparison that was done by her energy company. It was 40% higher. So basically from 1,200 to about £1,800 a year. So that's a significant amount. So we really are saying to people, do not tie yourself to a fixed tariff, okay? Stay on the standard variable. It is price capped. They can't suddenly just put it up. They can on the 1st of April next year, but in the meantime, you are safe with that. So please follow that bit of advice. It's probably the best that we can give you so far. Okay. Right, energy savings. You lose about 25% of your heat out your roof if you don't have loft insulation. It costs up to about £500 for loft insulation. And if you can't afford it, if you're on any benefits, you can contact the heat team at Calderdale Council and you can get funding up to £500 and get loft insulation. So if you haven't got it, and by the way, that's 27 centimetres, basically it's the size of a ruler, that's how thick it should be in your roof, okay? And you can get funding up to £500, and it doesn't matter if you're in a rented property or if you own it. Even rented, as long as you've got your landlord's authority to do that, not a problem. Okay? So just so you're aware, go on please.
If you live in the room.
Hang on.
Sorry. I actually have a bedroom in the roof.
Yeah.
Can that be insulated?
Now it's an interesting one. There is something called the Room in Roof Fund. And Calderdale Council actually have some money for that, and they will actually insulate the whole of that room. Wow. They will take all the plaster out, all the electrics, everything, completely redo it, replaster it, put all the electrics back. It's like a brand new room. And they will do that, and there is funding for it, but you do have to apply.
Do they do wallpapering as well? Yeah.
Well, if it was wallpaper, they probably would, yeah. Because it's got to be the same or better than, okay? But it is Calderdale Council, you will have to, there are criteria that you would have to complete for that. Again, it is predominantly homeowners. I do think they've got so many for people who do rent. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So you may qualify. Yeah. Okay, so that's regarding the roof. We actually lose about 10% through drafts, and that could include the letterbox, the keyhole, under your front door, back door, cellar. In fact, my cellar, it's like a howling gale. So, insulate. If you want to keep your heat in, you must insulate. You can get insulation strips from B&M or Wilkinson's or whatever that goes round your door. If you know anybody, they'll do it for you. Okay? So we used to call them sausage dogs. Yeah? Right. If you can't afford one, roll up a towel. Sounds mad, but if you've got a draft coming in somewhere, roll up a towel, put it in there, it will stop that draft coming through. Okay? Your windows, unfortunately there isn't any funding for windows, I wish there was. Close your curtains before it goes dark. Sounds mad, But actually, that's when it starts going cold. Sun goes down, it goes cold. So therefore, the cold comes through your windows. Yeah? So shut your curtains before it goes dark. If you've got radiators by the window, put those curtains behind the radiator. Let the heat come through the room. Another thing that's really important, don't put your sofa up by the radiator. Foam in a sofa is a heat inhibitor. It's only going in the foam. It's not going round the room. Okay, move furniture away from radiators because heat has to move. It has to convect in the air. That is the only way your room is going to get warm. So if you've got anything in front of your radiator, move it by your foot even, but let that heat move about. Okay? It's one of the biggest things we come across. How many people put their sofa in front of the radiator is phenomenal. But there you go. What else have we got on there? Lighting. Now I'm going to tell you something actually. I did a calculation the other week. I was a little bit gobsmacked. That's a technical term for shocked. Glad you like that one. And it's all to do with your light bulbs. On average, there's 10 light bulbs in a house. Did you know that? That can be through lamps or pendant lights. So these are pendant lights, and you've got lamps normally. But on average, there's about 10 light bulbs in a house. And on average, we use 60-watt light bulbs. So that is 0.06 of a kilowatt, which is a unit in English. You know, like you get bills, a unit. So I did a calculation. And if you have 10 60-watt bulbs in your house, for 1 hour, based on 20 pence a unit, by the way, because that is actually now the price you're paying, at least, that's costing you 12 pence an hour to have all those bulbs on. 12 pence. What do you think that? It's nothing. Because your dog can't see in the dark. Of course. Okay. So then that actually equates to 84 pence a week. And that's only for 1 hour. Okay? So I haven't timed it by 52 weeks, but somebody's going to do that for me. I hope. But basically, just for 1 hour, having all your bulbs on for 1 hour is costing you 84 pence a week. Which is actually, most of us keep our main light on in the house, what, 4 or 5 hours in winter?
£43.68.
Right, 1 hour. That's all your bulbs on for 1 hour. Yeah? Okay. Now, those new LED ones, 800 lumens, or 804 to be precise, because I like to be precise. Susan's always shaking her head at me.
Glad this is me video.
Yeah. Those bulbs use, are you ready? Per hour, it costs 0.01 pence for 10 light bulbs for 1 hour. So for a week, that's 1 pence. Yeah? It's really worth changing your light bulbs. The difference is phenomenal. Yeah? 1 hour, 10 light bulbs, 800 lumens, warm white, do not get bright white, it's bad for your eyes. But 1 pence. Okay? What we've worked out is actually probably going to save you at least 40 quid a year, just by changing your light bulbs. Now, yes, they are more expensive, but they are worth it. But B&M Bargains, I'm telling you now, you go down there, you can get 10 for 10 quid. So it doesn't matter that somebody's selling you 10 for £1 on a market store, the actual cost is going to be so much more. So just forget it. Change your light bulbs to the LED light bulbs, and that is how much you're saving. And by the way, I'm not even talking about carbon footprint here, because obviously we've all heard about the climate change stuff. I haven't brought any of those figures, but trust me, I can go on about that for hours as well, okay? I really can, okay? But the difference is phenomenal on what your bill's going to be, so please, please consider seriously changing your light bulbs to LED, alright?
It's over £300 a year, from tea time to bedtime.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So, you know, all your kids, turn the lights off. It's not so bad when it's an LED, is it really? Okay.
Have you got a question?
Do you want to ask something?
Teresa.
Please go for it, Teresa.
Teresa's got a question. Oh, can I have a microphone?
Oh, thank you.
I've got bayonet light fittings, and I use the bayonet light bulb.
Yeah, you can get them late, you can get them LED.
Yeah, you can get those things.
I'm using the normal ones. Now is that costing me 84 pence per week then? Or does the bayonet cost you more money?
No, bayonet, so it doesn't matter whether it's a screw fitting or a bayonet.
3 pins on it.
Yeah, that's a bayonet. There's no difference. There's no difference. It's the same price. What you're looking for is you've got a bulb, a bayonet bulb that's probably just an ordinary house bulb. What we're saying is switch those to the LED bayonet bulbs. They look exactly the same. They're just more expensive to buy, but they save you money over a year.
You mentioned one of the light bulbs, and it's mentioned about the word P. We've got persistent light bulb, I don't know what you said. In the top.
Incandescent? Did I say incandescent?
I don't know, I can't remember what you said, but I think you mentioned.
Was it the soft light versus the white light?
Yeah, not white light or something.
Yes, sorry, yes. There's 2 types of light, how the light glows. There's what's called warm white, and then there's what's called bright white. Don't get the bright white.
What's the difference?
The difference is, warm white is more of a warm glow, like those ones, okay? White light, basically it's been a bit like stood here. See how bright that is, okay? What it is that bright white is more like a floodlight. It's more like the white light, that really white light.
Like a floodlight?
Yeah, it's a lot brighter, but what it has is it's actually got something called blue light in it, and it's actually bad for your eyes if you're in it too long.
Can it blind you then?
I don't know, I'm not an optician.
I just wondered when you said it's bad for your eyes.
Well, it is bad for your eyes because you shouldn't be in blue light for too long. It hurts your eyes, it can give you a headache. All right.
Thank you, Teresa. I'll pass
Yes,
it on to
please.
Simon. Thank you. Now, Simon.
Hi Sarah.
Hi, Simon.
Thank you. What I want to know is I've got, my mum bought me about 15 years ago a nice lamp light in the living room.
Yeah.
I live in a back-to-back, so I'm not worried. And it's got those old-fashioned halogen, there's about 7 on them.
Yeah, very expensive.
Yeah, the problem is that I've tried to buy LED ones from Range and all that, but they don't work, they flicker, there's obviously something.
It may be the light fitting itself.
Yeah, it's just
But
weird.
again, all light bulbs have to, any type that's been made for a previous type of fitting will be made as a LED version. Now, if it's not working because they're flickering, I would suspect that there is actually a fault with the light fitting. It may just be a wire that's become loose. Okay.
Well, the halogens all work, but
Right.
when I
Well,
swapped them over, I mean, I had unfortunately lost the electrician. I haven't got an electrician to redo it, so
right, and it just might be it just might be that it's a little bit stiffer and it's not making the connection as well. Whereas the halogens have been there for a while, but halogen is actually far more expensive than even an ordinary bulb.
yeah. I've tried different ones and I've pushed them all in. And then
Right,
they
just
don't
see if you
work.
can get somebody else maybe to give you a hand if that's okay.
Yeah.
So.
I just wonder if there's any assistance out there for things like that.
Not that I'm aware of. Do you live in your own
I
home?
live in my own home. And
Right, do you have a support worker at all, Simon?
Well, I have social services. I don't have any.
Right, so if somebody could, maybe they could help you. Just ask.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's about asking the question, isn't it? You know, could somebody come and look
What
at
about
his
the
bulb?
handyman service?
I really can't say what's going on with the handyman service. All I know is that because Gateway to Care, obviously probably most of you will know about Gateway to Care, they're busy. They've never been busier, and all those people that work for Gateway to Care are part of the handyman service. So I would assume there's a backlog and they're not going to see changing light bulbs as a priority. However, is social worker men? Yeah? Is that alright, Simon?
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. What I want you to do, I just want you in your mind's eye to think of an appliance in your house. Usually the kitchen have the most, okay? And I want you to think about how much it costs to run for 1 hour. Doesn't matter if it's a toaster, a kettle or whatever. I want you to seriously think about how much does that appliance cost to run for 1 hour. Okay? And what I'm going to do, if it's alright with you, I'm going to come round to each one of you and I'm going to ask you what that appliance is, and hopefully I'll be able to tell you how much it costs you to run for an hour. Alright? Brilliant. Go for it, Susan.
Toaster.
A toaster, in my little thing here, tells me that that will cost...
You're a bit
About
blank,
it, yeah.
wouldn't it, after an hour?
Hey? How many? It depends how many pieces of toast you're having on it.
Breakfast bread.
Cost you, for an hour, 22 pence for the electricity at current rates. Okay? Simon?
Laptop.
What, you've got your laptop in your kitchen? Okay.
Got one
That's...
in the kitchen, one in the bedroom, and one in the...
Oh!
Does it have to be?
You can have it anywhere you like. I've
No,
got
no,
most of
2
them.
laptops.
2 laptops, you're just well breeding.
For all occasions.
A laptop, actually, because it uses a charger, is actually about 2 pence.
2 pence.
That's not bad, is it? PCs are a lot more, but yeah, laptop's not too bad. Go on,
It's not in my kitchen.
wherever you want.
We've got a 190 litre fish tank.
Have you now? No, you haven't.
And that's it.
I swear to goodness, I thought of everything.
190 litres.
Now, I'm going to tell you now, actually, what I did was I went for
Fish
one.
tank.
I'm going to be
Did you say 190? Yeah, this is based on a 2 litre.
How much do you love this fish?
Can you say it out loud? Just say it out loud.
190 litres.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Fish tank.
Fish tank. That is
It was.
for the water only, just to do the water,
To heat it, you mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
is 5 pence an hour. Now, I'll tell you why I didn't put lighting in
Lights
there.
as
You
well.
need to get cold
Do you
water
want me to tell
fish.
you why I didn't do the lighting? Because I don't know what type of lighting you've got, and trust me, there is loads. Now, a lot of people do use halogen, I am aware. But again, it doesn't really give me that information. I did look, and I seriously looked.
It's got a water pump in it.
Yeah, water pumps are different. Again, there's just different types. So, what I would suggest is, based on, if you just go by 2 kilowatts, well no, because actually I base this on right, I did that as 200 kilowatts a year and then worked it out backwards. Okay?
Right.
I would assume, and I have to say this, I assume, because again, I can't, honestly, there's just so much different type of lighting, I wouldn't know where to start. Again, with the air pumps, wouldn't know where to start. Water pumps themselves tend to be consistent, you know, for the size of the tank and the water, etc. That is consistent, but the lighting isn't.
It'll have something top of the range if you can switch it just to breed fish.
Right, okay. Well, obviously, because again, you've got something whereby, you know, if it's tropical fish, that needs a different type of heat. It really is, all sorts of things, and people, again, do that sometimes with the lamps inside there. Look, you know, the thing is, 500 watts bulb, halogen bulb, is going to cost you about 10 pence an hour.
Oh, you don't have to get rid of this one. The work.
Okay? But if you think just doing your water pump alone is 5 pence an hour.
It's
And
well
so
worth it, but I just wondered what...
no, but it's going to go up and up for every additional electrical item you have its own wattage. The best way to work it out is whatever it says on the actual machine itself. Have a look, and it might say 500 watts, 1 kilowatt. Okay, there is 1,000 watts in a kilowatt. Okay, so you just break it down and do it backwards. And if you think a kilowatt of electricity is about 20 pence a unit, yeah? So that's how you work it out. Does that
Sorry,
help?
a kilowatt is what? 20 pence a unit?
Yeah, about 20 pence. Everybody's slightly different, but it's about 20 pence a unit. I haven't put VAT in there or daily standing charge. We're talking about the actual unit price. Okay, it's about 20 pence. All right? Okay. Anybody else?
Household kettle.
Kettle. Now then, kettle's a good one. Did you know that a kettle can be 2 to 3 kilowatts an hour? But because we only put a little bit of water in it, it doesn't take that long to boil. But if you have 10 brews a day, that's about half an hour. Just so you know. But an hour for a kettle, based on a 3 kilowatt kettle, which is actually the average, 60 pence. Yeah, kettles are expensive. So are your tumble dryers, so are your washing machines. Most of the items in your kitchen are the most expensive things to run. So,
If you've got water, if you've got a meter,
yeah,
and you look at it when you put the kettle on, it goes
spikes right up. Yeah, okay. So, what we always say to people is, if you've got anything that's on standby, I mean anything, that's your mobile phone, your laptop, your computer, your telly, your DVD player, even your internet, your internet hub, unless you actually need it specifically for something, turn them off. 10% of your electricity costs are based purely on standby power. So you're looking at about £35 a year, if not more, saving. And although, you know, my grandma always used to say, pennies make pounds. And in this situation, that is so, so true. As I say, I have literally written everything down possible that I can think of that's in a house. And I know I haven't even touched an nth of it. Just so you know, 1 second. In the 70s, on average, there was 17 electrical appliances in a property. On average, there are now 87. Okay? So that shows you how dependent we have become on electricity. And if we're wanting to reduce our costs, we have to look at what we're using.
I have them plugins because I love to sell, but they're married all the time, so yeah.
Get rid.
Yeah.
Get rid.
Yeah.
Waste some money.
Only because I've got a dog and I have them.
Yeah. Wash your dog more often.
Goals in all the time to buy.
Any questions? Right, sorry darling. Yeah.
Hang on.
Walking around the book.
Go on.
Hi, it's John. Yeah, you were saying that things that are on standby to unplug. Well, when I had my Sky TV fitted,
Yeah.
they told me not to turn it off standby because it'll damage the Sky.
It's to do with the
box.
updates.
Yeah.
It's to do with the updates.
Yeah.
That's because they don't want you ringing them up if there is a problem with the technical side of it. To be honest with you, it's like anything, any computer. Updates happen at any time. Just because you've turned it off shouldn't make a difference. It can update as soon as you switch it back on the board. It's got it, alright, it's got it, you know, it'll be a slow process and it'll have to start whirring and getting itself going and steam will be coming out of it, whatever. But what I'm saying is...
Doesn't that cost more than leaving it on?
Say again.
Doesn't that cost more than leaving it on when it's updating?
No,
Doing everything
it's
when you
it's
first
exactly the
switch
same amount of money. It's still using the same amount of electricity. That's a signal thing that's going through. It's not an electric thing. The same amount of electricity goes through. 240 watts.